Good morning. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So, didn't even last 5 seconds before dropping an F-bomb. Fantastic. Great work, Ryan. Okay, so I told you all yesterday that I would do a live stream at least once a day during the weekdays for a little bit. I didn't promise it, but I said I would try, and I am going to continue to do it. So here we go. The second one. What's up, Gloff? Great to see you, brother. I love when you're here, and I got your email last night. Haven't responded to it yet, but Sunday morning should work just fine the following week, but I don't remember what you said, so maybe that doesn't work for you. What's up, Real Bill Nye? I like that username. That's a good one. So actually, Gloff, it's kind of nice to have you here. I feel like I'm hitting your schedule better in the morning, so I'm glad that you're here. Actually, I'm going to pull your email up right now just because I want to make sure I remember what you said last. I'll just respond to it right now. Keep it easy. What's up, everyone? Just joining. I'm about to tell you about some amazing things that are happening. So stay tuned for that. But first, I want to see this email from Gloff. Gloff says, give me the news. I'm at work, but work is slow lately. By the way, your LinkedIn page is looking fresh. You look so professional. I would hire the shit out of you. I'm serious. Okay, Gloff, where's your email? Yeah, like the following Sunday morning, like early could work. I don't know if you're gonna be around or not, but anyways, we'll talk. So, like I said, amazing things are happening. I said I would come on in the mornings for a while, so I'm going to continue to do that. This morning, I was reading a interesting thing about the heritability of personality traits, and it's looking like there is a 30 to 60% variance of the genetic influence on personality, specifically Big Five, things like that. I think that's really interesting research that's going on. But that's not the amazing thing. Gloff says, thanks, bro. If sorting myself out becomes an LLC or something, I would get you on taxes. Yeah, I actually thought about that. I thought that you would be a great resource for us if we ever need someone such as yourself to help us with figuring out the whole tax side of doing that. So I guess amazing things are happening, and I don't want to get you too excited, but I'll just start with a few amazing things that are happening. You're breathing fresh air. You probably drank water within the last 24 hours. You most likely slept on a bed. If not, you had at least a blanket. A lot of us. You probably ate in the last 2 days. So, yeah, amazing things are happening. We're living. We're alive. Life is good. We are human beings. It's amazing. So that was total clickbait. I said amazing things are happening, and you all clicked, and it worked. I've got 5 people watching. It's an astronomical number. But in all seriousness, I really want to focus on my gratitude and appreciation for life. It's so easy to get caught in limited thinking, in negativity. What's up, Balanced Boy? Balanced Boy says it is amazing. Absolutely. It's absolutely amazing. And I know it's kind of like cheesy to just title it Amazing Things Are Happening and then just talk about the fact that we are alive. But I really mean that. The way that Dust to Dust says, joke's on you. I was dead for the week. That's hilarious. Good to see you, Dust to Dust. I'm glad you're here. But I feel like the first hour of the day is so important. The way I start the day, the attitude I have after I get up from my weird ass dreams. And if I wake up with a negative attitude or a fearful attitude, my day doesn't go nearly as well. In fact, it can go pretty bad if I don't really get my attitude right off the bat. And that doesn't mean that I'm being naive or falsely positive or just wishing my way into a different universe, because I don't believe in that. There are some things about the world that we have to live with. It's life. It's not easy. At the same time, the way that I choose to respond to those things is extremely important. And I've been thinking about that a lot. So I woke up this morning and I focused on what I was grateful for. I'm alive. I'm breathing. I'm hydrated. For anyone that's not breathing or hydrated, then, my heart goes out to you. At least if you're not hydrated, it's hard to not breathe for too long before you're just not here anymore, obviously. But I feel pretty fortunate. I've got food in my fridge. I've got a vehicle in my driveway. I've got opportunities. I've got great people listening to this live stream. There's a thing called YouTube where we get to talk and people listen to just average Joes like myself. You don't got to be on a TV station these days. That's pretty cool. Regardless of the crazy adpocalypse thing that happened yesterday, or it's been happening with the whole Steven Crowder incident, which is interesting to say the least. But yeah, I'm a lucky guy, and I really appreciate all of you. And today is a day of appreciation. I appreciate you, Gloff. You've been with me for almost a year, following what I'm doing ever since I was on Sultry. You've gone through the ups and downs of watching me stumble clumsily forward, as I like to say, stealing from Jordan Peterson. And you stuck by us. You stuck by Andrew, you stuck by Mercury, and you stuck by me. Dust to Dust, you've been here for a while. I've been noticing your interactions. So thanks to you too. So I don't know, everyone, if you feel like it, shout out something in the chat that you're grateful for today, something that you appreciate about your life. I know you probably get a lot to complain about, some of us more than others, but what's something that you appreciate, that you'd like to also be grateful for and focus on in your life, and maybe even it wouldn't be bad if you have more of it, Gloff says, I'm grateful for this beautiful day up here in Minnesota. That's awesome, man. What's the weather like in Minnesota? Is it brutal? Or no, I'm thinking of Montana. Sorry. I got the two M's mixed up in my head. Yeah, that's great, man. What else, everyone? Shout out something that you appreciate. I think it'll be fun. It's amazing. And then I'll be more entertaining and less, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. That's just as I'm grateful for Christ. Absolutely. Great spiritual figure, great figure in religion, inspirational. I'm not personally a Christian, but I'm also grateful for Christ. Actually, you could argue that I am a Christian by the sheer fact that I am embedded within a Judeo-Christian society, and that for me to not call myself a Christian is actually a denial of the fundamental predispositions that I was born into. So, but I don't go to church is what I mean by that. I'm not like a practicing Christian, although I do have a very, I feel like I'm a religious and spiritual person by nature, very much so. So Dust to Dust, grateful for Christ. Right on. I love that. Gloff says, Minnesota, is it hold on a second. Minnesota was brutal. A few days this winter that was like minus 50 wind chill. Wow. That's nuts. That's nuts. Balanced Boy says, I am grateful for conversations. Yes, conversations are good. And Gloff says that at least you get good summers. Real Bill Nye says, grateful for everyone's differences. Otherwise, we'd have nothing to talk about. I love that. That's fantastic. That's so true too. If we weren't different from each other, then life would be so boring. If we were just all the same, what would be the point? There'd be nothing There'd be no contrast. It would all just be this gray mass. That's the interesting thing about polarities. That's what makes life rich, these tensions. So, you know what else? There is a conversation coming up. I'm going to release it right after I end this live stream between Ian McGilchrist and Tim Freak. I'm going to release that as soon as I get off this live stream. It's going down. I don't know how many of you know about McGilchrist. I know a lot of you know about Tim because he's been on this channel, but Ian McGilchrist is a world-famous psychologist. He wrote the book, The Master and His Emissary, specializing in kind of understanding how the right and the left brain map onto each other and how that feeds into the dynamic of our lives. But he's a great philosopher. He's really compelling. It's not just this boring brain science. It's actually really compelling stuff. He had a conversation with Jordan Peterson a little over a year ago, I believe, probably even more than that at this time. And McGilchrist is great. I mean, you can look him up right now. He's pretty well known if you haven't heard of him. And I'm posting it to this channel as soon as this is over. So I think you'll enjoy that. I hope you'll enjoy that. And whenever you get a chance to watch it, it'll be a good conversation. Tim is pretty awesome. He's just letting me post things. So yeah. And obviously I've helped him do a lot of filming with Ken Wilber, which will also probably be posted later this month. I know that's taken a while. Gloff says, I'm grateful that my dentist told me LaCroix isn't bad for my teeth. Yeah, man, LaCroix is legit. Okay, so I was drinking LaCroix for the longest time, and then I realized I was spending like $40 a month on sparkling water. I was like, oh no, dude, I can't justify this. So I went and bought one of those bubbly water makers at Walmart. It's like it's like $70, and then you have your bubbly water for a while, and it lasts you a lot longer. You just have to refill the gas tank, and then you're good. You're set. So that saved me quite a bit of money. I highly recommend checking that out if you're looking to save a couple bucks. But yeah, LaCroix is awesome. I'm glad your dentist told you it's not bad for your teeth. Although there's a lot of memes about LaCroix, about how it's basically just flavored piss. It's pretty funny. Dust to Dust says, I drink Diet Coke. Right on. That sounds good. I could go for a Diet Coke right now. I'm glad I have this coffee, though. What's up, everybody who just joined? Amazing news for you all. We are breathing. We are human beings. We all probably slept some amount in the last 48 hours. I'm assuming most of you had something to eat. And yes, it's an amazing thing. Amazing things are happening. Clickbaited you. I hope you aren't too mad at me. So shout out. What we're doing right now in the chat is we're just shouting out something we're grateful for. And I'll tell you why, if you want to join us. The reason is because it's so easy for me in my life, and I don't want to speak for anyone else, to get caught up in negativity, limited thinking. And so I'm just like, what am I grateful for today? What's good? What's going well? Because there's this cliche saying, I don't know if y'all ever heard it, but it's what you focus on expands. And it's the truth. Potato is here. Potato is an interesting participant. He always is popping in and saying interesting things. He said, I had an amazing poop this morning. Great. I hope you got that out of your system. That's fantastic. All right. So that's my positivity rant. I won't bore you with that for like 45 minutes because, some of you might get overdosed on positivity. We can only take so much. But again, if you want to shout out what you're grateful for today, do it in the chat. Positivity is contagious. It does make a difference. Potato says, I guess I'm kind of a negative person. That's okay. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm talking about this, because it's easy to be negative. It's easy to focus on what's not right. And you know what? That just keeps expanding, because the more you focus on it, the more that you are attracted to it. That's how your brain works. So it's just a shift in perspective to gratitude, to what you do have, what you do like, what you do want, rather than what you don't want. And that changes your whole entire brain. There's brain research. Neuroscientists are doing this research. People like Daniel Siegel are bridging that gap between the hard science and the public, that how you act does actually affect your reality. Now, Potato says in the chat right now that negativity is the most realistic position. Not necessarily. Being realistic and being negative are not the same thing. You can be a realistic person without necessarily being negative, because you're conflating that reality is negative. I don't agree with that. I don't think reality is fundamentally negative. I believe that it's there for the taking. What we make it into is what it is. You actually have a very strong probability of enhancing your life if you change your attitude. That's just science. I mean, that will be within the next 10 years. Bank on it. It'll be unrefutable. It just, well, you shouldn't say unrefutable, because you can refute anything. It'll be very convincing. And I think it already is. But that's just my opinion. I don't know it. I'm not a know-it-all. If I ever start to sound like a know-it-all, I'll give you my address. You can come to my front door and slap me across the face, because I never want to sound like a know-it-all. I don't know it all. I'm a young whippersnapper. Okay. I'm not I'm not sitting on a high horse here. I'm just telling you what I've researched and what I've learned, and I could be totally wrong. Anyways, I digress. Yes, there is balance between positivity and negativity, Potato. That's being realistic, the balance between the two. That's right. I agree with that. If you just focus on everything is good and everything's great and there's no such thing as suffering. And I'm not saying that. That's ridiculous. Like, one of Jordan Peterson's primary teachings is life is suffering. So I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just saying that the way that we behave and react to it is important. Skylar Jensen says, glory has been a favorite word recently. Fantastic. I don't use that word very much, but glory is a good word. That's really the truth right there. Dust says, reality can be negative, but thinking positive is good. Yes, thinking positive is good. And it's not so much about changing what's out there. I'm not talking about, like, I don't believe like the new age thing that if you can think your way into having a new car or something, like you have to like go get the money. You have to like do physical things. It's not just going to manifest in your driveway unless you're a wizard, which I doubt that you are. So anyways, that's my opinion. But you can change. So the thing is, okay, I'm going to bore you. Just one more thing I want to bore you with. There's a part of your brain. It's in your brainstem. It's called the reticular activating system. It filters your reality. It filters what is important to you and why. It filters either for your survival or for your like what could hurt you or for what could help you. That's it. So you're only seeing reality in dimensions of what's relevant to you. That's why we only see 0.00 or 0.03% of the light spectrum. It's not relevant to us, the rest of it. We're just optimized to see what we need to see. But that's how we also program our brains. So if you focus on the negative, you'll see more of it, trust me. And you'll attract it into your life because you'll be pulled towards it yourself. Whereas if you can figure out how to shift your mindset into what you do want rather than just what you don't want, you will be surprised how many opportunities come your way. Not because of some sort of magic. I mean, maybe magic exists. You know, you could talk to Mercury about that. But just because you're going to notice it. Okay. You know how when you buy a new car or a new thing, you just notice it everywhere on the road? Oh my God, there's that truck. There's that truck. There's that truck. Same thing happens with how you program your brain for your attitude. Oh, there's that opportunity. There's that opportunity. On the other hand, if you're programmed towards limitation, look at that limitation. Look at that limitation. Look at that limitation. Oh, life is shit. Life is shit over here. Life is shit over there. So it's just the world that you're creating for yourself. Anyways, okay. Potato says, oh no, you're still in the Daddy Peterson following call. Yes, Peterson is my hero, and I will happily follow him. Not blindly, but I do love Peterson. I mean, just like a lot I like Ram Dass. I like Alan Watts. I like I don't know. I could name some other teachers that you'll never have heard of, so it won't interest you. But Derpin Poison says, I'm already bored. That's okay. If you're not enjoying this, then you are under no obligation to stay. So please feel free to leave if you don't want to be here. That's fine. Have you seen his appearance in Hungary where he cried on stage like I mean, Peterson cries pretty often. That doesn't really mean anything to me. Crying, I don't necessarily think crying's bad. I cry sometimes. I mean, not like often, but once in a while I'll have a cry. I don't really have a value about that, to be honest. I think that's kind of a weird thing to focus on. Balanced Boy says, why is everyone throwing Peterson under the bus recently? He seems fine to me. Yeah, I agree. Skylar Jensen says, have you been following John Vervaeke? Yeah, I started following him. He's fascinating. It's good to see you, Skylar, by the way. I'm glad you're here. John's work is fascinating. I really think he's a smart guy. I think he offers something that Peterson doesn't, too, in that kind of the spiritual science realm of things. Or what does he call it? Spiritual. There's a word he has for it. It's a really good word. Technology, spiritual technology. And he has a really great scientific explanation for all that, how that works. All right, I'm going to read this potato thing, and then I'll probably, I don't know how deep I want to go down this rabbit hole of potato, so I probably won't keep reading if you keep going down this road. Not because I don't want to read your comments. I think you're great. I just don't really want to talk about conspiracies this morning. I'm not in the mood at all. But you say Jordan Peterson is an essential cultural Marxist who LARPs. I don't know what LARPs means, but it probably means something that maybe I shouldn't even be saying. As a right-wing conservative, in order to delude young, predominantly white men into thinking that his self-help crap is somehow enlightening. Okay, here's the thing, guys. I'm going to tell you something really simple. My opinion. Again, just my opinion. If something's helpful for you, then it's helpful for you. If it's not helpful for you, then just don't listen to it. It's that simple. If you don't like Peterson, then just don't listen to Peterson. It's really not complicated. It's like if a lot of people like Peterson and that makes you upset, why? I mean, it's not like he's doing any harm by telling people to make their bed. I can't see where he's doing any harm. So if anything, I think it's pretty much a net positive if you look at it objectively with just take away all your judgments about whether he's right or wrong or his philosophy is good or bad. I just think that the sample size is big enough that people have said, my life is better now because of Peterson. So let's just leave it at that. There's no reason. Like if it's not helpful to you, then you can just watch something else. I mean, that's just my opinion. I'm not saying that to you specifically, Potato, but just in general to people who don't like something. A lot of times not liking something is simple as walking away. It doesn't have to be a fight. Fights are for life or death. Fights are for saving the world. Fights are for if I don't say something, this is going to be horrible. Something bad's going to happen. Fights aren't for, Peterson's telling people to make their bed and that they should, heal their relationship with their father. I just like, what is there to fight about there? Anyways, what do you mean live action role play dust to dust? I don't know what you mean by that. By the way, I think most of you already heard this, but as soon as I'm done with this live stream, I'm gonna drop the conversation between Tim Freak and Ian McGilchrist. So that'll drop right as soon as this ends. So, all right, Spartacus. Hey man, I got your emails. I know you want to talk to Mercury. I don't know if I can talk tomorrow, but I think Mercury should be able to. So what's happening for me over the next 10 days or so is I'm writing writing papers for school. So my schedule's a bit unpredictable. These little live streams are my way of keeping up with the channel, but that'll be about as much as I'm able to commit to. So I'll send you an email today, and you'll either just be talking to Mercury, most likely tomorrow, or if I can make it, you'll be talking to both of us. So anyways, thank you for being here, Spartacus. It's good to see you, and I'm really glad that you're a part of this community. Balanced Boy says, how do you start your day off with positivity, or do you? Yeah, so here's how I start my day off with positivity. I do like a quick meditation where I just like, I have some different techniques, some breathing techniques that I've learned. I won't bore you with those details because you can look up meditation techniques, but I have my own techniques that I use, visualizations and stuff like that. And then I do some journaling where I'll write down my dreams, like, because I just want to get that out of my system and see if there's anything there for me that I need to interpret. Of course, I am a psychology student, so that's interesting to me. And then the other thing is I'll write down what I'm grateful for. I'll write like, maybe a few lines of like family, food, nature, all the things I'm grateful for, I will write out. And that's typically really helpful for me. And then I'll plan out my day. What do I need to get done? What's important? What's important for me today to accomplish? And then after I do that, I will do some reading, and then I'll typically try to exercise within a short period of time after that if I can. But if I have meetings coming up or other obligations, then I'll try to exercise later in the day. See you, Spartacus. I will see you soon, hopefully. So thanks for tuning in. You have a great day as well. Okay. Potato, I can't keep up with all the Peterson hate. So try to talk about something else because you're filling the chat with Peterson hate, and it's not interesting to me. We're not even talking about Peterson right now. So what's the point? It's okay, bro. Don't be sorry. I'm just telling you that I'm just not particularly interested in talking about it right now. If I was just talking about Peterson and you wanted to have an argument, that's fine. But we've talked about Peterson for like 2 minutes, and I've been streaming for 27. So let's talk about something else. I just want to connect. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, Potato, but yeah, I can't go. Dust to Dust says, going into the dark places in your psyche that are uncomfortable in a way, it's like pulling out a sore tooth. Fantastic. Yeah, I think that's true, and I think that it's difficult to go into your psyche and go into those dark places, to work with the shadows, to understand yourself. It's hard work. That's why people don't do it. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But only very select few people work on themselves. It's not a popular thing to try to improve yourself. Self-improvement isn't catchy. It's not popular. It's not cool. It's not going to get you the most likes and subscribers. It's not going to get you the most retweets. You know what I mean? It's like, that's just not where the culture's at. It'll get you your own little connections with people, but it's not like an astronomically popular thing. It's very hard work. Exactly, Dust to Dust. So Real Bill Nye says, I'm in the same boat as Potato, onwards and upwards. Yeah, and you're all entitled to your own opinions. Absolutely. No problem there. I'm glad you're here. You don't have to agree with anything I say or anything anyone else says to be here. So that's fantastic. Okay, here we go. Here's a good question from Potato. Thank you for changing the subject. I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. What do you think of the deplatforming of right-wing channels happening right now on YouTube? I don't think it's good. I don't think that Well, I mean, specifically Steven Crowder getting demonetized is a good thing. I don't have any political statements to make about it. I don't really want to be publicly political. I'm not interested in public political displays for myself at all. It's not what I'm about. But what I will say is I just don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea to demonetize someone based on what he did. And what Crowder did is highly interpretable. And also, there's other stations that have done similar things that are just as popular and have just as many viewers that haven't gotten the same punishment. So it just seems a little ridiculous. And it's just that typical SJW stuff. That's all I'll say about it. It's typical. What's up, Griswold Grimm? Good to see you, brother. I'm glad that you're here. And it's great. It's great to hear from you. Dust to Dust says, I hope free speech is protected somehow, but who knows what the future holds. Yeah, I hope that companies decide to protect free speech too. It's this weird thing. Yeah, I know Crowder's only demonetized. I don't know what right wingers getting deplatformed you're talking about, Potato. But I know that Crowder's demonetized. You're talking about like Alex Jones probably getting deplatformed. I don't know of any other right wingers that got deplatformed. I don't like that. I don't think it was a good idea. I don't think deplatforming someone is. Oh, well, I don't know who you're talking about, Potato. If you're not talking about Alex Jones, I don't know who you're talking about. But anyways, let me just say my opinion on deplatform. I don't think it's a good idea unless there is some sort of terrorist threat, right? Like they're organizing like a mass crime that's going to kill thousands of people. That's not good. But short of murder, free speech is really important. Anyways, I hope that's a reasonable enough statement that it's not too polarizing. YouTube, Dust to Dust says YouTube purges hurt smaller channels more than Crowder. Yeah, I don't know how they could come after Sorting Myself Out for all I know. It's unpredictable what these companies are going to do these days. I mean, I'm very neutral, and I'm sure they could find something I said that's just totally, they could just make up an accusation. A Balanced Boy says, there are plenty of companies that support free speech, but we don't use their software and don't support them. It's our own fault. Hey, that's a good point. What companies are you thinking of? I'd love to. Is there another platform like YouTube out there? That's an interesting thing. Dust to Dust says, Potato says Varg Vikernes was an example of someone who got banned. Oh, I don't know who that is. So Dust to Dust says, I watched Tim Pool. He does good coverage in free speech. Yeah, I really like Tim Pool. He's fantastic in my opinion. Not because I am politically aligned with him, but I just like the way he covers information. Griswold Grimm says they've been ramping up censorship since Pinjay got yelled at in Congress for frazzled drip, but you don't want to know about that, promise. I have no idea what that is. You guys are way ahead of me. Potato says Crowder makes most of his cash through direct advertising on his show, subscriptions and merch. He's not really reliant on YouTube at all. That's fantastic. Good for Crowder. Wow, YouTube is moderating comments in my live stream again. That's getting really annoying. Real Bill Nye almost got blocked off there. And Real Bill Nye says, I moved to BitChute. Maybe YouTube doesn't want us to talk about other platforms on here. I don't know. When I first got there, the top video was White Pride Worldwide, and I was like, son of a bitch. Yeah, that's too bad, man. That's too bad. That's really too bad. Yeah, the alt-right's a real thing too. We all have to remember that the left and the right both have their own extremes, right? Gloff says, I am not a fan of Crowder, but it's still bogus what happened to him. Yeah, I'm not really a huge Crowder fan either. he's entertaining sometimes, but yeah, a little bit too controversial for my taste. But I mean, I can see why people think he's great. Well, anyways, back to what's amazing. Okay, back to what's good. So I'm gonna drop this Ian McGilchrist Tim Freak thing in a few minutes here when I hop off. And as promised, well, I didn't really promise, but as I said, I'm here doing a stream again today. So that's fantastic. And I want to stream with Mercury again soon. Hopefully he comes on soon and does his own stream so you guys can get some of him. I think he's an really important part of this channel, and I think it's great when he goes on. So I hope you all get to spend some time with him soon. And yeah, you can probably, if he does come on live in the next few days or in the next week or so, it'll probably be in the evening. So as most of you know. And I don't even know when the next full moon is, but he'll do his live stream once every full moon. So that's good. Oh, Balance Boy says, last question. You can ask as many questions as you want. I might have to go in a few minutes, but throw all the questions you want at me. I don't mind. It gives me something to talk about. Balance Boy says, last question. How do you take your coffee? I just drink my coffee black, strong, very pretty more strong than you would think, more strong than most people would tolerate. After all, I am a highly compulsive person. I do have a history of addiction. Luckily, coffee is the strongest drug I take. And other than that, I'm completely sober. So I once did a coffee. And is that when you put coffee up your butt, like a coffee enema? YouTube's trying to moderate Gloff's comment now. Jeez. YouTube is really, really interesting why they're monitoring these comments. Gloff says the thing with, I guess just saying alt-right makes them moderate. The thing with the alt-right, I guarantee if you said alt-left, they wouldn't moderate. No, I'm not making a political statement. It's just an observation. No political affiliation on this channel whatsoever, I promise. The thing with the alt-right is they pose questions nobody on the left actually has debunked yet. Plus, there is no nuance with what the fuck it actually is. Yeah. Actually, that's an interesting thing. We should talk about that. Gloff says, if you aren't anti-Semitic, you aren't alt-right. It's that simple. It's a pretty good formula. Real Bill Nye. The other day, I tried to comment about how Bayer made Zyklon B and it got deleted. Huh. It's weird what YouTube decides to censor. Potato says YouTube's algorithms have been turned up to censor far-right comments. And Real Bill Nye says apparently bringing up Zyklon B is anti-Semitic. Yes, apparently. Ooh. Dust to Dust gave me a passage to think about from the Bible. Let's read it. Philippians 4:8. I'm looking it up right now. All right, I'm going to read it. And then y'all can... I hope this is right. Philippians or I don't know. I probably butchered that pronunciation. The Bible is ready to go, says Balance Boy. I just looked it up on Google. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. That's beautiful. Yes, beautiful. And then Griswold Grimm says, good passage for the alt-right is Ezekiel 22:12. I'll look that up too. I'm at Ezekiel 22:12. And you In you are people who accept bribes to shed blood. You take interest and make your profit from the poor. You extort unjust gain from your neighbors, and you have forgotten me, declares the sovereign Lord. Wow. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to read some of these comments here. Gloff says, I'm sure they could properly debunk it if they had tried, but Contra and Sean exist just to reaffirm lefties that they're right, not actually convince those it needs to convince in the left's eyes. Griswold Grim says, in communist China, they tell you up front that social media is state-run. Huh. Balanced Boy says, I thought you had the Bible in front of you, LOL. No, I'm not a Christian. I don't have any problem. I draw from wherever wisdom lies. I don't discriminate. If there is wisdom, I will use it. If there's wisdom in the Bible, then I will read that wisdom. If there is wisdom in Buddhism, I will look at that. If there's wisdom in, exercising and listening to a Tony Robbins podcast, I'll do that. I don't discriminate where I get my wisdom from, as long as it's good. So thank you for sharing. Everything is welcome here as long as it is pure and wise. So that's what's beautiful. The Distributist is the way to go. Is that like a certain website? Speaking of Nag Hammadi, I don't know who that is, Grizz. But anyways, wow, this stream got really interesting quickly. We went from talking about how great it is to be alive, how great it is to breathe, to the concerning political landscape that we're currently finding ourselves in. That's an interesting place we've ended up. Robert Toto says, I often divert my attention away from politics and world news to keep my good energy for the day to be productive. Have you ever cut off media and news for a while to better your mind? Absolutely. It's kind of a double-edged sword, because if I don't pay attention to what's happening, then I don't want to have my head in the sand and then be surprised when there's martial law or there's a tornado in my backyard. You know what I mean? So I think that paying attention to some extent, I don't know what the balance is. I don't consume a lot of news. I try to stay away from it as much as possible. I believe that especially the way it gets spun is not good, because we're not getting objective reporting. We're getting extremely biased reporting, whether it be from left or right. It's just toxic, typically, in my experience. Speaking for myself, the news is toxic for me. I'm not saying it's toxic for you. I don't know what it is for you. But I do have to pay attention enough so that I'm not surprised when there's a tornado in my backyard. I have to be willing to at least pay a little bit of attention. So that's kind of where I stand on it. But absolutely, like, what we read, what we watch, whether it be on TV or whether it be on YouTube, that has an impact on us. It has an impact on our brains. It has an impact on our livelihood. So it's important that we be careful what we consume. It's just like food. It's your mental diet. What are you ingesting? What are you taking in? It's the same thing. It's just not as concrete as food. So if you're eating fast food media all the time, and you're not consuming any content that is focused on bettering yourself or anything that's wholesome or healthy for you, then yeah, you're giving yourself a shitty fast food diet. It's that simple. On the other hand, if you consume positive, you read a positive book about either a scientific book, a philosophical book, a self-help book, whatever, and you have good conversations with your friends, and you choose to watch things on YouTube at least once in a while that are really positive, then that's going to make a difference. So it's that simple. We attract to the negativity faster, and I think that there's an evolutionary reason for this. Our brains are wired for survival first. So threats and negativity stick out, and positivity comes a little bit secondary, because if a tiger is chasing you, you're not also counting your blessings. You're trying to get the fuck away from that tiger. So it makes sense why our brains sometimes latch on to negativity, but we are the ones responsible to change that and to understand, like, no, it's not dependent on my survival if I consume this particular piece of content. So I'm going to take my attention elsewhere. You're in control of where you put your attention. So, yep, Gloff is still getting moderated. So, okay. So Dustin says politics are pretty negative in general, but it's like a dragon you have to slay every once in a while. Yeah, absolutely. And I try to stay away from politics as much as possible on this channel, because I don't want to divide our purpose. Our purpose is to connect regardless of what your political beliefs are and what your demographic is. And I don't want to distract from that. I just don't believe it's primary importance. You could have different opinions than me, and we could still have a great friendship. It's that simple. As long as we're willing to speak to each other based on good faith and mutual respect and care for each other, life can be good. So I just try to stay away from it. You know, it doesn't feed my soul. It doesn't make me shine. It doesn't make me happy. Now, again, Dust to Dust brings up a really good point here. Politics are pretty negative in general, but it's like a dragon you have to slay every once in a while. Yeah, you can't just hide from it. It's real. It's there. You can't just ignore it, you know, or you can, but I'm not sure how good that is for the collective or for you, for myself. But yeah, I'm careful. Again, and you have to remember, my whole career path is in psychology, in working with clients, in podcasting here. I want to make that a part of my career. I hope it grows and gets better and better. And, you know, I hope it's more and more interesting for people. And, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to make my hay off of controversial politics. It's just not interesting to me. I don't blame people who do. I think people like Tim Pool and Ben Shapiro, I listen to them sometimes. I think they're doing something that's important. They're having important discussions, whether I agree with them or not. So it's just not my thing. You know, it's like, it's not my calling. If you were to come to me and tell me, hey, politics are really important to me, I would be like, great. Like, how can I support you to be as political as possible? I would support it. Like, great. So like, let's help you sort your life out. If a client came to me and said, like, I want to be a politician, I'd be like, fantastic. Let's get your shit together so you can be a politician. I wouldn't be mad at that. It's just not me. Okay. Griswold Grimm. What's up with the Center for Creative Choice? Didn't Dr. Strachan hand it over? Yeah, Center for Creative Choice. It's going to be kind of a process with Dr. Strachan and I. He's kind of grooming me to be fully prepared to launch that. So I have no idea what we're going to meet on Monday, and we're going to do some more filming in the wilderness, and we'll talk about Center for Creative Choice. He said, basically what he told me is, I don't want you to feel rushed on this. Put your other website up, start working with clients, and you and I are going to work on Center for Creative Choice over time so that you're fully ready for taking it over. So that's kind of where we left it. And we're going to talk on Monday. So yeah, I wouldn't expect, if I was you and you were excited to see what's happening, which I really appreciate that you care enough to ask, that means a lot to me. It could be a process. I don't know how long it's going to take. It's kind of a big deal it's basically his life's work, and he wants me to carry that torch. And so in order for me to do justice to that, it's going to take some time. And yeah, so I'll keep you updated. Feel free to ask anytime. Griswold Grimm says, I'm hoping you can turn the campus into a prepper colony. That would be cool. If you're interested, Grizz, if you're interested in doomsday prep and apocalyptic things, I would highly recommend checking out Tom Brown Jr.'s Tracker School. Tom Brown Jr. is one of the best teachers I've ever worked with. I've taken several of his courses. He was trained by an Apache scout and shaman, a badass that he met when he was a kid. His name was Stalking Wolf. Stalking Wolf was in his 80s. He was 83 when he met Tom Brown, and he spent about a decade training Tom in the ways of the scout, in the ways of the Apache, who were fierce warriors. They were expert survivalists and trackers. They also had some badass shamanic skills, if you believe in that sort of thing, which I do. And Tom Brown Jr.'s Tracker School, he does charge for his courses. It's his whole life's work. And he talks about the prophecies of Stalking Wolf, which are very eerie because a lot of them have happened after he said them. So, for example, the holes in the ozone. Stalking Wolf called that out in the 50s, and that happened. There's holes in the ozone. The AIDS epidemic. Stalking Wolf called that out. That happened. And all that's recorded and documented. Tom Brown Jr. is the real deal. He's a badass tracker. He's been hired by fucking the government to do fugitive tracking. He's fucking badass. He knows how to track. Like, there's these things in tracks called pressure releases, and you can tell literally how full someone's bladder is. You can tell what psychological state they're in, all by the way that their footprint is leaving a mark on the earth. And it's all verified through his documentation. He's trained Navy SEALs. Tom Brown he's kind of like a badass shamanic warrior. I don't know how to explain him, but I would check that shit out. I would. Actually, I'll pop it in the chat for you just so you have it on your mind. But yeah, it's I would say if you're into like more like, no, he's in New Jersey, Grizz. If you're into like doomsday prepping and understanding the state of the world and the danger that we're in collectively, he does address that quite a bit, and also what to do about it. You know, he's not just all talking about the negativity, but he gets into action. So, okay, I'm going to read some more comments, and then I'm going to post the Tim Freak Ian McGilchrist video for you all. Thank you so much for being here. It's so amazing that I have people listening to me. Oh, and I'll give you an example. Because a couple people in the comments, Gloff and Dust to Dust, is saying how negativity is addictive. Absolutely. Somebody popped in earlier, and they said, I don't know where it is, but they said, I'm bored already. That negativity stuck out in my brain, and I had to consciously stop that and focus on all the people that were here listening. And but yeah, there's that voice in the back of my head that's thinking, oh man, you're not doing a good enough job. That guy said this was boring. So like, that's just par for the course. Those are the internal dialogues, and it's my responsibility to deal with that and to be realistic. How can I improve? Or am I just beating myself up? These are all things, but you don't need self-criticism to the extent where you're beating yourself up. You can just allow yourself to take in the feedback and grow. Bruce is back. Good to see you, Bruce. You say what you project comes back to you. Absolutely. So the negativity is so addictive to some people. Some people are better at staying positive than others, and part of that might be predispositions to personality. But in general, it's easier to notice what's going wrong than what's going right. And what's going right now is I've got 7 badass people listening to this live stream, and I'm about to post a conversation between Tim Freak and Ian McGilchrist on my YouTube channel. That's fucking sweet. I'm in. I'm drinking good coffee, talking to good people, and I'm working on my life. Fantastic. Got a long way to go, and I'll try to do so as humbly as possible. Yes, Potato, you're a badass. And you guys have no idea how much it means to me that I was thinking about this too. I'm the Sacred Flip course, which Griswold is in. I'm running a Sacred Flip course. That's badass. I have a lot to be grateful for. And just focusing on that gratitude makes a huge difference in my mindset. So it makes a good impact on my life. I really get a lot out of it. Okay, so Potato says the holes in the ozone layer have largely receded ever since the aerosols were banned. Ever since CFC aerosols were banned. Yeah, aerosols I hear are like one of the worst things that you can put in the environment. Here we have a compliment for Potato. Griswold Grimm says, "You're much better than some of the other trolls that have been here, Potato. There's days I've missed you." Actually, I've enjoyed having Potato ever since Potato first joined us. So, yes, I agree. And even though I have to taper you a little bit sometimes, Potato, you said a word that I don't know, and I should be embarrassed because I'm in graduate school. So I'm going to look it up. Tsundere. A Japanese term for a character development process that describes a person who is initially cold and sometimes even hostile before gradually showing a warmer, friendlier side over time. Is that me? Then you say, "I won't sleep with you." That's hilarious. If you're bored, then you're boring. Very good point, Grizz. That's a great quote. Grizz says, "You don't have to sleep, sweetheart." Bruce says, "Calling something boring is a cop-out." Essentially, I don't know if I read this, but I'm going to read it again. It essentially means that you give up and you're okay with that. Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, I did my stream for the day. Thanks for listening. I'll try to do it once a day, probably not on the weekends, but on the weekdays. And I really appreciate you all. And I hope you have a great day. And I'm going to go ahead and post this freak conversation. Yes, get out of here. Give us something freak, says Grizz. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll probably see you tomorrow morning.